Welcome to Be Less Stupid. I'm your host, Jon Hotchkiss. Let's get right to it. The third Democratic debate is just 2 weeks away, and the latest polls suggest that the race to be the nominee is tightening up. Joe Biden has dropped a few, Bernie remains steady, and Elizabeth Warren is gaining some ground. Meanwhile, Kirsten Gillibrand, Jay Inslee, and Seth Moulton have dropped out. So as the race tightens up, there are a couple of questions that voters have to answer. Number one, based on the strength of character, policies, and likability, which candidate do you like the most? Then you have to ask yourself, which candidate is most likely to defeat Donald Trump? And then the third is, who among the candidates is working the hardest to make themselves the answer to the first two questions? So, to find out who is working the hardest to earn voter trust, who is working the hardest to crisscross the nation, to shake hands, introduce policies, and talk to voters, I looked at what the candidates are actually doing in order to demonstrate their hunger for the job of United States President. I studied social media, the candidates' official pages, their Facebook events pages, news stories, and Google from the 20th to the 28th of August for the top 9 candidates running for president. Then I wrote down every event, activity, town hall, fundraiser, barbecue, roundtable, and interview that they did that I could find. Next, I devised a scoring method in order to create some hierarchy so that voters will have a better sense of who to support with their money and who to stop sending money to. Send money to people who are working hard. Don't send it to people who are not working hard. My scoring system weighs the size of the event, the effectiveness of what they did, the reach of what they did, while also factoring in how the event demonstrates their inherent popularity. Admittedly, this is not entirely scientific. However, what I discovered is pretty worthwhile, and I'm going to say it reveals quite a lot. So, here is how the scoring will work. Holding a rally or a town hall is worth the most. If you can hold an event where your organization does the inviting and somewhere between, say, 300 and a few thousand people show up from any particular geographic area, damn, that's a good sign of your electability and your popularity. Next, you get 2 points if you hold an event in which people have come specifically to see you, but the number of people is give or take less than 300. That could be like a happy hour fundraiser or a meet and greet at a supporter's home, at a high school, at a church, or a synagogue. You also get 2 points if you attend an event that someone else organized that you're going to speak at, like a convention of union workers, or you join the picket line of union workers who had already planned to go on strike. All of that kind of stuff typically leads to pretty good media coverage. I also give you 2 points if you participate in a roundtable with experts or community leaders and you talk about some issue. Say you sit around and talk about Medicare with a team of doctors from a university hospital. This is pretty worthwhile because it also gets you pretty good media coverage. And finally, you get 1 point if you just get interviewed by the media, if you're a guest on CNN or MSNBC. Okay, so here we go with the slightly scientific but entirely revelatory Be Less Stupid 2020 Democratic candidate scorecard so far. In last place, for the days from August 20th to August 28th, with the least amount of candidate activity and scoring a measly 4 points is Kamala Harris. Harris gave a single speech at a gathering of the Democratic Party in San Francisco and another speech to a church congregation in North Carolina. And that is all that I could find. In 8th place, with 12 points, New Jersey's Cory Booker. Cory held a poorly attended fundraiser in Los Angeles, which I was at, and another in San Francisco. Booker also did interviews with Don Lemon and Lawrence O'Donnell. In 7th place with 14 points was Pete Buttigieg. He started the week strong in Des Moines, addressing a pro-choice convention, then town hopped in New Hampshire for 3 days, talking to groups that ranged from a few dozen to a few hundred. Then it was back to San Francisco to march with striking Uber workers. Pete also held a couple of small fundraisers in Los Angeles and San Francisco, but they were closed to the media. So, No points. In 6th place with 17 points, Minnesota's Amy Klobuchar. She began the week with an address to the crowd at the Minnesota State Fair. Later in the week, she spoke at the Democratic Party gathering in San Francisco and followed that up with perhaps her best day on the campaign yet, where she appeared on Fox News and Face the Nation and made 3 stops in New Hampshire. In 5th place with 23 points, Julian Castro. Castro began the week with an address to the Native American Forum in Sioux City, Iowa. Spoke to union workers in Iowa, visited a factory and got himself on TV, and ended the week handing out meals to the homeless in Las Vegas. In 4th place with 26 points, Elizabeth Warren. The surging Warren began the week by releasing her plan to reform criminal justice and discussing the details at an event in Minnesota. The following morning, she was in Iowa to meet with union workers, and by the end of that day, she held a 15,000-person rally in Los Angeles. 2 days later, Warren held yet another large-scale rally in Seattle, where she focused on her just-released plan on immigration reform. Our 3rd place finisher scored a respectable 32 points. It was Texas's own Beto O'Rourke. He started the week off strong with a rally in Des Moines. Plus, he met with community activists who advocate for homeless veterans. The next day in Iowa, he addressed students at Valley College. There was a midday address to the Iowa Federation of Labor and another speech to the gathering of the NAACP. Plus, on the same day, he canvassed for votes and sat for an interview with Don Lemon. Next, he was back in El Paso, where he again visited with the wounded from the mass shooting at Walmart. By the end of the week, he was in South Carolina, meeting with college students and black women at Benedict College. And now that leaves just 2 candidates remaining. Who's going to be in first place? Is it Joe Biden? Or is it Bernie Sanders? In 2nd place with 34 points, it's Vice President Joe Biden. Biden started the week unbelievably slowly, with casual visits to a few Iowa communities and an address to the Iowa Federation of Labor, thus confirming some pundits who believe that Joe's team is keeping him off the campaign trail in order to reduce his number of public gaffes. By the end of the week, Biden was in New Hampshire for yet another round of small gatherings. However, in the last 3 days, and just inside my calendar dates, the former vice president kicks it into high gear with 2 town halls in South Carolina. Then, as a side note, Biden also held 2 more town halls on the 29th in South Carolina. If those points were included, it would have put him at 54, but still not enough to catch first place. So with a staggering 64 points and coming in first place in our slightly scientific but entirely revelatory Be Less Stupid 2020 candidate scorecard, it's the senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders. This guy is a monster. He started the week off strong with a rally in Iowa, an address to the Native American Forum, and visits to 2 other Iowa communities. The following day, Bernie spoke to a convention of union workers in Iowa. Then it was off to California, where he released his plan to combat climate change. Plus, he toured the town of Paradise, which was destroyed by the state's worst fire in history. Same day, Bernie held a town hall on the climate crisis and capped the night with a huge rally in Sacramento. During the same week, Bernie also spoke to the Democratic Convention and held a town hall on student debt in San Francisco. Next, he was in Minnesota for the state fair. Then he was in Louisville for another rally and an address to union workers. Bernie finished the week strong in Pittsburgh with another address to a gathering of union workers. Okay, now, a personal note. I have not yet decided who I'm going to support. I'm leaning towards Elizabeth Warren for reasons I'll get into in another video. That said, Bernie is clearly the guy that wants it the most. This guy's relentless, tireless, and determined, and that says a lot. If you found this video useful or entertaining, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and share it on social media. As YouTube monkeys with their algorithm, independent liberal journalists like me are being marginalized, and well, The only way to combat it is to get the subscriber numbers and the shares way up. Another way that you can support my work is to go to our website and get yourself a Be Less Stupid t-shirt. You can show your solidarity with other liberal Democrats just like you who care about science, fact, and equality for all. Okay, for Be Less Stupid, I'm the host, Jon Hotchkiss. I'll see you next time. And remember, go to the website and get yourself one of these t-shirts. Thanks very much.